Today I will be telling you about the meta Yu-Gi-Oh decks after the ban list. Step forth, young one. Today I will be showing you your future. It's dark and ominous and involves you getting a girlfriend and not playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Wait, girlfriend? That's not right. This thing's on the fritz again. You don't get those. Yu-Gi-Oh right now won't be determined by actual strength at this second, but there will be a ton of players using these particular decks, and these will be some of the most popular decks being played in the meta. This video is built to give you insight on those particular decks in case you want to play them or to prepare yourself to beat them. Of course, big dog, I'll also be even putting personalized deck lists on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping me pay my editors. But without further ado, let's jump on in. Starting off with the elephant in the room, I think that the meta will revolve around Unchained because it was already considered as one of the best decks before the ban list. Unchained is built on being able to destroy your own cards to eventually get to powerful Link and Exceed monsters that interact with your opponent's special summon monsters. Now, ironically, because of the September 25th ban list, Unchained secretly gets stronger. Cash Terror was a minor inconvenience, so that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about the limitation of Bestial Magnemite. I think Konami's hit on Bestial Magnemite was strategic. Not only does it have an impact on players' side decks being able to mix in the Bestials against Unchained when it's convenient, it actually had a pretty decent hit on Dragons. Ironically, Dragons does have a pretty decent matchup against Unchained, but the hits on the ban list certainly did not help it, especially considering that now, because of those hits, it has a weaker stronghold in the matchup. Not saying that it's not advantageous, just saying it's a little bit weaker. Also, that's not the only factor into Unchained's success. Players just simply haven't figured out how to play against it yet. Look, my mans, I'm a little slow myself, but you out here got kids thinking that Unchained is a kink. It's not a kink. Or maybe I'm not kinky enough. I mean, it does have chains in it. Another thing that makes Unchained so scary right now is that some of the most popular cards in the game didn't necessarily work well against Unchained. It almost had an immunity to most of those cards, but now with Unchained being a front runner, instead of players having to worry about the Cash Terror matchup, there's going to be a little bit more focus on that strategy, so I expect that to change. And speaking of dragons, I may have overreacted on that ban list video. Magnemite to 1, Chaos Space to 1! It turns out that dragons just might be okay. This isn't the first time that it's been hit, and it certainly won't be the last. But the best thing about dragons is that it'll always find a way to be relevant. The good thing about dragons is that it got to keep their core cards while only losing cards that allowed it to play forever. This just means that dragons have to finish games a little bit faster, which is fair. And also, the limitation of Bestial Magnemite might just be a good thing. It might mean that players will play Bestials a lot less, meaning that decks that focus on Bestials like dragons can get that advantage while also not being punished by your opponent having to be able to freely have access to those cards. Holy crap, you gotta think big brain sometimes. Subtraction can be addition in this world. On the flip side, dragon players can just replace Bestial Magnemite with Druisworm, which just so happens to be pretty good against Unchained, being able to get rid of those special summon monsters and forcing your opponent to use effects to stop it before you actually have to get into your real combos. But the genuine best thing that actually happened to dragons was the banning of Cash Terror Riseheart. Cash Terror Riseheart was easily the bane of dragons' existence, but now with it gone, dragons can come away better than before in this format than the last. I am not coping. No, seriously, my guys, think about it. Think about it. Think about it. No more Riseheart. This is a bargain. It's a bargain. I'm not coping. Another deck that players will start to realize that has an insane matchup against Unchained is Fluundereese. The best cards that Unchained have is Unchained Solar Rage to be able to link off your opponent's special summon monsters, and DDD Wave King Caesar to be able to prevent the special summon of monsters. Yeah, Fluundereese don't play any of those. Fluundereese not only naturally dodges so many Unchained cards, like how my daddy be dodging child support, it also has a trick up its sleeve that Unchained can't handle, kinda like how my daddy couldn't handle child support. Eventually. Hey man, gotta catch up. Fluundereese Impin not only turns off most of Unchained's extra deck, but also puts Link-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks on notice, which are starting to see a rise because of the ban list. Also, the cards that are really good against Unchained just so happen to be pretty bad against Fluenderies, so it actually gives a competitive balance if you decide to play this deck. I think it's something that the community should strongly consider. Also, is the perfect contrast to Unchained, as some of the most popular cards that will be used against Unchained, Fluenderies completely dodges as well. I think if you play this deck, it'll be a genuine surprise to the community right now. Also, since Fluenderies is normal summon dependent, it does offer a unique perspective that is starkly different than some of the top decks in the game. The restrictions of this deck are different. It beats to the tempo of its own drum. And if I hear normal summon Rapida one more time, I think the format's gonna be great. Great. Come on, guys, you guys still know I hate Fluenderies. And to be honest, Solomon Great is the only real great here. I think it'll be really popular because of the ban list releasing Solomon Great Gazelle, but also Solomon Great Fire no longer being a $50 buyout card. Personally, I'm kind of happy that that ban list spike disappeared like Yu-Gi-Oh players' ability to read, because $50 for a card inside of a set that nobody wants was way too much. This actually makes Solomon Great a powerful budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and where I think it fits in this particular meta right now is that Solomon Great is actually really good at being able to deal with those back row reliant decks. I don't know, it's something special at the beginning of these Yu-Gi-Oh formats. Players tend to go to where the extra glue is, and that normally revolves around floodgate Yu-Gi-Oh cards that prevent you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Solomon Greats have so many ways to be able to out that. It's an excellent choice to be able to pick up, while also being a pretty decent budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And lastly, if I had to round out the top 5, I think that Branded will be a little bit more popular than some of the other decks, simply for a couple of reasons. One, the ban list didn't ban any branded cards. My guy, do you guys know how big the branded fan base is? It's crazy. The next thing is that branded does provide another perspective into Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a deck that is incredibly good against Unchained. Mirror Jade allows you to be able to get rid of your opponent's monsters, but since Unchained monsters like to be destroyed, Mirror Jade got that added benefit of banishing them. Most of the time when you're getting into Mirror Jade, there's not a single thing an Unchained player can do, because even if they destroy the Mirror Jade, it might sound good for them to lose their entire board, but it also means that they can't set up monsters like DDD Wave King Caesar to be able to stop you when you come on your come up. Branded is also another one of those decks that naturally incorporates the Bistio monsters, doesn't really care about being destroyed, and on top of that can summon huge monsters one after another, even when your opponent does link them off or uses their effect to negate their summon. Ironically, Yu-Gi-Oh players, you hate on Branded, but to be honest, you need Branded. It's almost like normal Aluber and Have Branded Fusion was the thing. And lastly, I gotta give you boys a bonus strategy. Mainly it's because I like ya, and I want ya. I need your undying loyalty to subscribe to this channel, and anytime you buy on TCG Player, use my link down below. Ironically, there have been some players that say that this deck is bad, but statistically, if you look back at it, Pearly is one of the better decks in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Just because you don't know how to play it with your small communal brain cell doesn't mean that it's a bad deck. Holy crap, the people that share that communal brain cell will be mad that I called them out for that. Now, the big drawback about Pearly is that it is a complicated deck, and people tend to take the path of least resistance when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I mean, why play Pearly where you can activate Branded Fusion or normal summon Tour Guide? But when you do learn Pearly, it is a very rewarding strategy. Being able to summon an X-Pearly Noir with a lot of material is kind of crazy, and also this is one of the few powerful decks that has access to Zeus, which is really good right now because Zeus can send to the graveyard instead of cards being destroyed, so Unchained won't be able to get their effects. Pearly also has the adaptability of a cat. See what I did there? There's so many different directions that you can go with Pearly. I think that it's a deck that's here for the long haul. And that's all that I have for the top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh decks after the ban list. I want you guys to let me know down below in the comment section, what are some strategies that you think that I missed? I actually can't wait to put them in a tier list to give you my full thoughts about all of the powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategies in the game. And of course, big dog, you already know what to do if you want to see more amazing content. Be sure to check out these videos, and I'll be sure to catch you on the next one.